Now, let's do part 2 of this video, right? So, again, right, there's nothing wrong with trash talking in the game. You want the players to be demonstrative. You want them to show passion and emotion for the game, right? So, and the thing I talked about Caitlin Clark. Now, did she get a lot of media coverage? Yes, she did, right? But, and some of the players' gripe has been, we're not getting the same exposure. We're being called this, like the South Carolina head coach, Dawn Staley, said the same thing. Now, I don't agree with any of that. I'm not saying I'm a supporter of that, an advocate. No, that's not right. But you're not, and I'm not saying this has nothing to do with South Carolina, but you're not doing any favors when you portray yourself in that manner, though. And I'm not saying portray and like you're acting that way, but Angel Reese in that situation, she didn't do herself any favors, right? And I'm not going to go all the way to say it was classless, but what I'm going to say is she was doing the most. She was doing too much, right? And it was really her team that helped elevate. She had a good game. She had a double-double. Like I said, she set the record, but her team really carried, right? The Morrises of the world carried, right? The LaDejas of the world had good games. She had 3 to 4 players that had 20-plus points in that game, right? It was unnecessary. Once you did this at the foul line, that should have been it, right? She was excessive when she kept doing it and really walked her down and did it in her face. That should have really been a tech, right? When Caitlin did it, again, I'm not excusing it, but she did it one time, right? That was it. And then she did that in the game, and then that was it. Now, unless you felt disrespected for whatever reason, felt like that wasn't cool. But again, Caitlin has brought the attention more so to the sport. Not saying she is the reason why people watch women basketball. That's not what I'm saying. But the reason why it became really popular and people, like the tickets compared to the national championship game we go see tonight with UConn, compared to how the women's game was, she was the ticket in town. Like, let's be honest with that. Caitlin Clark was the ticket in town. Everybody knows she's a generational player, right? So what I'm going to say is there is nothing wrong with being demonstrative and showing your emotion and, doing things like that. But then it comes to a different point when you're taunting and you doing it about a good 10, 15 seconds down the court, right? You can say what you want to the player, whatever, but when you're doing it all in their face and you do yourselves no favor and you almost live up to what people try to label you as. And I'm not saying Angel Reese is that. She's certainly not. But you didn't do yourself any favors in that moment. And that's what it comes down to. You got to think about, okay, not necessarily how you portray, because you're going to be who you are. And you want to be that. You want to be whoever you are. You want to stay true to yourself. But at the same time, you want to be cognizant of that as well, of what people are saying. And, obviously be you, but at the same time, show that level of professionalism. And hey, we just won the title. That's what it's about. It's not about getting back at somebody that did something in 2 games prior to playing us. Again, Caitlin Clark did this to 2 games prior to playing us, didn't really say anything to them prior to going to the game, and then you acted that way. So that's my thoughts on it. That's what I think. Again, the media does need to do a better job of not portraying these players like the South Carolinas of the world as their hood, their ghetto. Same thing with saying the same thing about Angel Reese. They need to stop doing that. They need to do the same coverage. I will say this and come out and say this, though. They need to do the same coverage they do for a Caitlin Clark that they do with other players, like the other ones that are coming up. Like Aaliyah Boston had some good coverage this season, but, obviously Caitlin Clark is great. I love her game. She's going to be next level. She's obviously going to go to WNBA. She might be number 1 overall pick. She's done a lot of good for the game. But the label that media has for being African-American, it needs to stop, right? But then at the same token, the players need to also, conduct themselves in a right manner and also show that they have class and professionalism. Again, I'm not going to go and say that was class is what she did, but you got to be cognizant and think about that too. You are black in America, so think about that as well. But nonetheless, overall, great game. But again, I'll say this in the video on this. It was unnecessary. She didn't need to do all that. You already won the chip. If you did that at the free throw line, that's fine. At the end, that should have been it. And you should have won, said what you said, kept it moving. All that extra stuff at the end, all in their face, that was unnecessary because Caitlin didn't do you like that. You know what I'm saying? So let's be cognizant of that.